All right, everyone. AI is now going to be deployed by Google to help journalists write their articles and do their research. This could be helpful for the journalistic class. I would point out, actually, I don't really see anything problematic about this. I've got two thoughts with regards to that. The first thought is that journalism has been swirling down the toilet for a while, and more often than not, if I take a random sampling of, let's say, 100 articles that are aggregated on RCP or Google News or anywhere else from the legacy or missing link media, I look at 100 articles, specifically with regards to anything that's remotely political, especially U.S. politics. I expect more than half of those articles to contain at least one of the following: misleading statistics, it's a big one; lies by omission, so there's something pertinent to the story that's not being mentioned; or lie by structure, so the article contains the truth, it's unimpeachable, it contains all the facts you need to know, but the ones that they want you to imbibe are in the first paragraph and or in the title itself, because some people just read a tweet about it, and then the real explanation is 5 paragraphs later, 2/3 of the way down the article, so that the average person doesn't even imbibe that truth. It's like, authorities say that X happened, and then, yada yada, and people's eyes glaze over because the article is boringly written. 5 paragraphs later, but we're not sure that this actually happened. Something like that. I would expect probably 60-65% of the articles to be like that. So journalism is already dead for all intents and purposes within the legacy media. So adding AI to it, I don't think, it doesn't change anything. If the AI is woke, which it will be under Google certainly, it doesn't matter because the journalists are already lying. The journalists are already engaged in wanton bias and linguistic decadence, you could term it. So on that token, it doesn't really change things. It just means that their articles can be more speedily cranked out. By the way, meaning, hey, journalists out there, that less of you need to be employed. And those of you that would rather write your own articles and have a shred of credibility will be at a disadvantage to those that are willing to speed read through an AI-generated article. Of course, the AI is not writing the whole article. It's helping you. It's formatting it in a better way. So you wrote the 3-page article, you run it through AI and say, suggest changes that I could make to this article to make it more charismatic, to make it less boring. There's a learning curve involved. So that's number one. Number two, they are already using AI to generate their articles, and they're not doing it properly. I noticed this with the Gal Luft saga, actually, some time ago. I think I mentioned this to all of you. When the Gal Luft cope began by the legacy media, in times past, I'm used to seeing a flash of different articles that share a lot of similar traits going out immediately after some news that would be damaging to globalism. It's almost like the articles were pre-written or centrally written, distributed, slightly altered, and then rehashed in order to try to flood the news cycle. I've noticed that before. Flooding the news cycle is something that's definitely a goal for the globalists to cope, to cover their asses. The other thing is you can always fixate on something else. So, there's some major political scandal, like right now, for instance, you have the FBI being acknowledged to have known that the Hunter Biden laptop was legit. I'll be talking about that in my second video. And so what's in the news cycle? Other than controlled opposition Fox that pulls its punches and independent content creators and a handful of missing link media sites, the story's absent. No, it's all, hey, Dylan Mulvaney painted his nails. Here's the company that he used. Here's the Budweiser ponies have come back, or something like that, some fluff piece, something distracting. When the Gal Luft thing broke, though, I noticed something strange, because I was scraping the news hardcore on that one, because it's a big news story. It's like, hey, you've probably got a situation here where both Gal Luft and the DOJ are legit in their claims. Yeah, Gal Luft probably did act as an unregistered foreign agent. He's probably also telling the truth about Biden because he realizes he's going to get prosecuted, so he's throwing the system under the bus. Rather damning. That's like at least a 9 out of 10 on the scandal scale. And certainly a 10 out of 10 on the I personally am interested in this scale. So I was reading a lot of news articles. What did I find? I noticed with the very first article that I interacted with, I think that one was on NBC. I can't remember, CBS or something. As I went through the articles, I noticed an astonishing number of them had a sort of weird, jolted, gawky feeling to them. When I read the article, it didn't feel like a human had actually written the article. It felt like, to get out ahead of the news cycle in an increasingly competitive 15-second attention span world, people simply turned on their AI, ran a couple of stories through it, and commanded the AI to write an article. Then they half-assedly went through it in order to tinker with a few things to make it seem a little bit less mechanical, and then they posted it. And I think that a lot of journalists are using AI right now to boost productivity. And they're not even telling their employers that they're doing so. I don't even think that it's, in this case, I don't even think that it's central. I think that perhaps it will become that way, but right now, as of right now, I think that a lot of journos, in order to compete and in order to streamline their workday, because they're lazy and they realize, hey, I make a couple articles today, I can do whatever I want later, and I have to attend a meeting, but I can spend a couple of hours in the shower or something. They're already using AI. They're probably Chat GPT or something like that. They're already doing so. I can guarantee you that. Based on, again, linguistics is something that I'm very interested in. When I saw the number of articles that just sounded mechanical, the way they were written doesn't sound like a normal news article. The structure was different. The word usage was different. It felt literally robotic, actually. I said, I think that AI was involved in writing this. I think it's been going on now for months. It's going to become more and more prevalent over time, you see, because it's simply something that's incentivized. It increases the productivity, etc. So what you're going to get is AI-generated propaganda. The difference will be that it's semi-mechanical in its intonation. It just sounds mechanical in that sense, and it wasn't fully written by a human being, but it doesn't really change the metrics of anything other than ironically making it easier to spot the propaganda, because it'll be easy for anyone that's trained in linguistics to understand, hey, this was written in part by ChatGPT. This was written in part by Google AI. Or Tesla's AI. Hell yeah, Elon Musk is branching out into that too. His is probably the only one that won't be fully woke. He'll make his half-baked in the wokeness department, so you'll be able to say more swear words, but there are some that'll definitely still be off the table. Be interesting to see how it pans out. I'm not surprised that Google would branch out into it, though, because it's lucrative. What we're seeing right now is the foreshock, the rise of another wave of tech. People who invested in any of these AI companies or ideas very early on are going to make out like bandits, I think. The market will continue to rise. As it does, students will use it to write their reports, journalists will use it to write their propaganda, editors like myself can feasibly use it to edit work, although I'm choosing not to do so. I'd rather do it by hand because I enjoy reading those works as I'm editing. What started off as a hobby and a labor of love became quite lucrative. I don't really need to boost my income by using AI to massively speed up the editing process, because I'll just handle it myself. And anyway, I'd be entering a flooded market at some point in which nobody's going to be able to compete anyway. I expect the editing eventually to become a labor of love again. Thankfully, I've already got hundreds of editions up, so there's that. So as far as AI-generated news or AI-aided news reporting, it's already here. This isn't even technically news. Link in the description archived, of course. They're pretending that this is novel. Google is going to coordinate directly with the legacy media. Well, the legacy media journos, at least on their own, are already doing that. I can spot it a mile away. I see reporting now, and it's becoming more frequent. It started before Gauluft, although that was a particularly big example of it, of people that are writing in a non-human manner. It is very mechanical. It feels like a computer wrote large parts of the article. And because they're using similar AI programs, and in some cases literally the same ones, and because they're reporting on the same things, you could spot very big similarities between those jolted, gawky moments within the reporting. The word usage and so forth was very similar. They were using the same AI, they probably used similar prompts, and so it spat out similar things. It's one of the main limitations of artificial intelligence as it currently stands. That's about all. Peace out.